Hey everyone, I'm Konstantinos and this is Konstantin Knows Tech. Let's dive into some of the rumors of iOS 18. iOS 18 is still a few months away, but there are a couple cool reports that are worth discussing. Although we won't see an official release until September of 2024, we do anticipate getting a preview at WWDC this June. And the biggest buzzword of the year? AI. I promise we'll come back to AI, but I want to save that for later. The first thing I want to bring up, and it's the one I'm most excited for, is RCS. RCS coming to iPhones is a huge benefit that is going to truly improve communication for everyone. SMS and MMS is a ancient technology at this point, and honestly it's crazy that it's still the standard, at least in the US. I know in other parts of the world everyone has evolved to things like WhatsApp, but in the US, texting is still king. iPhones adopting RCS will allow for higher resolution photos and videos to be sent. No more grainy videos sent and unable to be seen or the most pixelated image that you can imagine. Things like audio messages between iPhones and Android, typing indicators, read receipts, Wi-Fi messaging. There are so many benefits, and the biggest one of all is probably the Android users are going to feel left out. That discrimination might be a thing of the past. As a side note, I always thought it was funny that the iMessage logo was green, similar to the standard messaging green bubble, and the Google Messages logo is blue, just like the iMessage. At the end of the day, the core function of all of these devices is communication. Improving the way that we communicate amongst each other is a long-awaited and well-received benefit. I don't exactly think that Apple's going to go above and beyond in fixing the green bubble, but at least the text will be able to be delivered over Wi-Fi, and you won't get blurry images. The next thing I want to talk about is the home screen and the ability to rearrange icons anywhere. This will be a fundamental shift in how Apple designs their home screen from the very first iPhone. Allegedly, you'll be able to move your icons anywhere on the screen. And I know what you're thinking, Android users have been able to do this since the first Android. And sure, I agree. I wouldn't exactly call this innovation, but it is a massive change that will continue to bring in sales. All of a sudden, the classic argument of Apple is so rigid, I'd like to design my phone however I like, doesn't exactly apply anymore. I mean, this doesn't change the functionality of widgets and notifications. That still belongs to Android as champion. But hey, it's progress. I'll be the first to admit that I'm a little anal when it comes to organizing my phone. So I'll probably just have things in a grid organized style anyways. I've done this on every Android phone I've owned as well. But it offers some cool customization freedom, so I'm here for it. I did read another rumor saying that you may be able to change the color of certain app icons, which is interesting. That's a feature that's typically locked behind a paywall, so I'm curious how Apple plans on doing it. It could be something like Google's Material Design, where you can change the overall theme of the Google icons. This seems like the next best iterative design for Apple, and I like it. I look forward to seeing it. Now, a few months ago, there was a rumor that all of iOS would be redesigned to mirror exactly what was being done with visionOS. The only other time there's been a change this big was upgrading from iOS 6 to iOS 7 back in 2013. Apparently, though, this has been debunked, so I would not expect a full redesign. And a lot more improvements on the biggest buzzword, AI and Siri. Now let's be honest. Siri isn't exactly top of the class when it comes to virtual assistants, but they are trying to catch up. Certain companies have an AI head start, such as Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and OpenAI. This is all subject to change, though, with the rumored developments in generative AI. The newly improved Siri would work in native cases such as messages, Siri, Spotlight, search, music, etc. In an uncharacteristic move, Apple is rumored to not develop its own generative AI engine. There's potentially a partnership looming between OpenAI and Apple, so we'll see what comes of it. I'm very curious to see how Apple goes about on-device versus cloud computing when it comes to AI on their devices. In order to comply with their super strict privacy guidelines, I don't know what that balance would be, but I'm curious to find out. Apple is reportedly spending more than $1 billion per year on research for generative AI and running large language models. In fact, Apple CEO Tim Cook said, Apple is investing a tremendous amount of time and effort on artificial intelligence. And he confirmed that Apple plans to share the details of its ongoing AI work later this year. So, a lot of exciting stuff coming. The bad news with all of this is that the AI improvements will not be expected to be part of iOS 18 until later in 2025, so it won't come out with the iOS 18 release in September. I doubt that Apple will go the route of Google and charge for premium features when it comes to their AI, but that's a subject for a separate video. One of my favorite topics when it comes to improvements in technology is accessibility. I love when technology is improved to include additional demographics that may have struggled with technology previously. My favorite example of this is Microsoft and Xbox with their adaptive controller. Any tech that can be improved to help people in any capacity always pulls on my heartstrings. Some of the rumored accessibility improvements in iOS 18 include eye tracking, which would allow users to fully navigate their devices with just their eyes, similar to Apple Vision Pro. This would be a total game changer. It would be so awesome if it was true. And it would grant so many more people the ability to become so much more independent. If this is true, I'm excited to see where it goes. The next accessibility feature is called Vehicle Motion Cues, and this is designed to alleviate motion sickness when being a passenger in a moving vehicle. Essentially, this would be accomplished by alleviating dizziness by having various sizes of dots on the display moving in different directions. Motion sickness happens when the movement that you see is different than that of what your inner ear senses. By using your device's accelerometer and gyroscope to determine speed and direction, the visuals portrayed on your screen can possibly alleviate and trick your brain into thinking that you're staying still. It's kind of cool. Last but not least, there's a rumor that iOS 18 will include music haptics, which would literally allow the user to feel the music coming from their phone, which is another great advancement for the hearing impaired. There are a few others, but those are the top three I think are most plausible and worth mentioning. Those are most of the rumors coming in iOS 18, but there's one honorable mention for iPadOS also coming. Well, finally, hopefully, plausibly, maybe we'll get a native calculator app. I think it has to be that all the engineers that were taken off of the Apple Car project finally have the bandwidth to focus on such an intense feature. I'm kidding, of course. But, I mean, it's a good feature. To sum everything up, I'm super excited for iOS 18 and all the previews at WWDC. We have a lot of shifts in how Apple operates its fundamental design, its core technology with Siri and AI, and advancements in accessibility features. If the bugs are in check, it's going to be a good year for a software update. If you've learned anything in this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see more, make sure to subscribe. This has been Constantinos with Constantine Knows Tech. Thanks for tuning in.